if you feel like you want to get away with your boys or your girls, cool. Just make sure like you have no problems before you go away, and have a good week with be very intentional before you go away. I was very intentional with Brandon before my trip and before his trip. Hello, I'm Sam.
I'm Brandon.
And this is the Ride or Die podcast. And I'll tell you, hopefully my man will get his shit together and get a little excited because he's like feeling mad.
It's been a long 3 weeks.
We should talk about man colds because I can't stand when you have man colds. You're like so terrible to be around when you don't feel
Meanwhile, you've been dog-ass sick for 2 weeks.
Oh, I have.
Nobody been complaining.
I have not been complaining a lot, though.
No, I haven't been complaining about you.
Oh, I can't believe I have no energy. And then I'm like, but stuff still needs to get done.
Keeping me up, coughing and hacking. And
Oh, I'm sorry. I even went and slept somewhere else one night. I slept on the couch one day. Mm-hmm. Instead of you sleeping on the couch. I was like, I feel bad. Because I literally was like, ugh. It was pretty bad. Anyway, I'm feeling a lot better. And hopefully you're not getting sick.
You still have your raspy voice.
A little bit, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Well, thank God we had.
And I think I'm finally getting it.
I don't think so. We haven't been making out. There's no way you're sick from me.
No, it's not sick. You said it was allergies. And I've been fine, holding down the fort, picking up some slack.
I think
and
it's
then
allergies.
I come back from a weekend trip, and now I feel like I got something.
Yeah, well, you might have gotten something on your trip. But it could just be late. I feel like when I have like too many late nights, and that could be it, right? Like you did go to bed early Friday, but you stayed up late Saturday.
Really early, yep.
And then you drove 5 hours in a car, so you just might be like drained.
I'm drained.
Fly on the wall.
I'll try to pep up my step for you guys this week.
I have some conspiracy about everything anyway, so let me figure out why he has a weird voice today, and I'll come back with a good story next time. So today I want to talk about guys and girls trips because Brandon and I just each went on one, and at first we had to try to figure out like what was the point of us really telling you about our trips without it just sounding like a guy's trip and a girl's trip. And we do have our reasonings why we took them that we want to share with you. But I want to talk about the motivation or the inspiration of doing this podcast in the first place is because a couple people had asked me how my break was, and I went to Brandon like super annoyed that like people thought I was taking a break from my life, and that wasn't it at all. What's the difference between going on a vacation with my family versus going on vacation to see my best friend?
It's a little bit of a break from the kids, let's be honest.
A little bit from the kids, but definitely not from you. Uh-huh. And mostly I would say it's a break from like work. If anything, it's mostly a break from work. Like anytime I want to go away, whether it's with you, by myself, with the kids, it doesn't matter. I don't want work to exist on any of those scenarios, right? So, but yeah, definitely the kids a little bit. I mean, it's nice to not have to get up and feel responsible for those guys in the morning. But you're an adult and you're self-sufficient, so I don't feel like I need a break from you. And I think that's where there is a struggle versus a healthy way to take a guy's and a girl's trip versus not, right? Because when people do feel like they need a break from their spouse, I feel like that's where bad behavior or what's a good way to put it? Or like, I just feel like that's when you might want to be worried about the fact that your husband wants to take a guy's trip or your wife wants to take a girl's trip when they feel like they need a break.
It's not a hall pass. Let's put it that way.
Oh my gosh, we just watched that the other night while you were gone.
Oh really?
Yeah, we saw we only caught the last 40 minutes, but what a funny movie. And we were actually talking about that, like I could just never. And the girlfriend that I was with was like, I could never. And we were just laughing about how there's that one couple in Hall Pass that do both cheat on each other. And I'm like, that's the most horrible thing ever. I can't even. The closest I think I've ever been was seeing Adam Levine this last week when I was with Kristen. I'm just kidding. Oh, he was so hot on stage. So anyway, let's talk about guys' trips and girls' trips, the healthy way to do it. For years and years and years, we've always swore we wouldn't really be into them.
I thought it was a little weird. I definitely felt a little out of my element. Like, I'm 34 years old, and I've never gone on a guy's, like, trip. And this was primarily all guys, shooting range, like, shooting out of a helicopter, just awesome ghosts and guns. Big shout out to fulfillment.com.
Yes.
That was awesome.
Yes.
But yeah, I definitely, like, I'm driving up there and I'm like, I've never gone on a guy's trip, but I've also never been the type that really, most guys' trips are literally that, like a break, like bachelor party, Vegas, like let's go be degenerates. And that's never, one, if I'm going to be a degenerate, this girl is the most fun to be a degenerate with, like way more than just going out with the guys, right? But yeah, this was cool. So we just got to talking about how, like, yeah, it wasn't a break. It wasn't, honestly, that's why the first night I went to bed, I'm like, I had to go back to the hotel room at like 8 o'clock. No, I might have to hit the button again.
Okay, can we leave it right there?
I had to go back to the hotel room, and then I'm like, you know what? I think I'm just going to order some chicken nuggets and a Heineken, and I think I watched HGTV's My Lottery Crib or something like that, and I was asleep by like 9:30.
That's hilarious.
But I was whooped. The next night I went out late, but yeah.
So for me, my girlfriend reached out to me. It was like back at the beginning of the year. It was like January, February. And she said, Brandon knows this story, so I'm not going to look at you as much. I'll look at them more. So sorry if I'm ignoring you. But my girlfriend, my best friend, called and said that she was able to get some really cool VIP seats at Maroon 5. And did I want to go with her? And I've never been to a concert with this girlfriend, and two, we always look for excuses. Usually it's like we all travel to see her, or she and her family all travel down to see us, and there's never, I can't think of the last time, definitely not in our whole relationship, besides maybe like when we live near each other and would just go out and get our nails done, that we've had like alone time together. So I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome to be able to just have some time without the husbands around and us just go be fun and go to a concert. And Brandon doesn't really care about concerts and stuff. So that was one of the realizations that we had as we were reflecting on these trips, is that it's kind of nice. Like, I didn't have any interest in going on that ghosts and guns thing at all. I didn't care about shooting guns all over at Targets. It just didn't sound fun to me. But the second I heard that it was being offered as an experience for us to go attend, I thought, well, just because I don't want to go, I would love to surprise Brandon and give him the opportunity to go shoot lots of guns, which sounds like something he'd really enjoy doing. So my opportunity came up months and months before yours did. They just happened to be within a couple of weeks, a week of each other, which was really cool. And so that worked out really nicely too. And it gave us this opportunity to plan this really cool week and do a lot of things with my girlfriends, with some like R&R time. And we went horseback riding. My girlfriend planned this whole crazy awesome day, invited a couple of my closest girlfriends from home. We went and did aerial silk yoga, which was extremely hard to do because I'm still getting back into shape. So that was challenging. And let me tell you, aerial yoga, those strings are not very like pillowy. So if you could just put your mind there for a minute, it was a little uncomfortable at times, but it got me out of my comfort zone and was pretty cool to do. I felt really stretched out afterwards. I would have planned that with Brandon, by the way, ever. I would be very funny to watch you do that though. It might be worth.
I would be so elegant.
It might be worth doing it.
Aerial
just to get
yoga
some video footage of him, soaring through the air in yoga positions on these silks. But then she planned this whole spa day at this really elite luxury, it's like where the stars go up in our area. And
where was that? Connecticut, or was it?
It was in Connecticut. Yeah, it was up in Litchfield County. It was called the Winvian. You guys can look it up. It's beautiful, just really cool. Every room was themed. There was a room with a helicopter in it. If you watch our IG stories, we're at Brandon and Sam. If you don't, check them out, because I was putting all these videos of these different rooms on there. It was just so cool. We did spa day and did massages and facials and just hung out at the room and got to be girls, and it was fun. And we played Scrabble, and I'll tell you, I think that it's a lot easier for me to do like guys versus girls in the past, like we were always kind of against it because, again, Brandon said, like, our friends all just wanted to go take like a break.
Well, and to be fair, we were younger, so naturally friends were
want to go out and party.
We're in maybe less mature, less family oriented states than they are now.
These trips sound a lot more responsible these days. I mean, girls' night consisted of us sitting around playing Scrabble and telling stories and catching up on life, and it was really beautiful. But yeah, like I had that trip all planned out with lots of stuff that, you know, Brandon probably really wouldn't have ever wanted to do. And I had such a good time. It felt really good. And it felt really good to share. Like Brandon and I talk a ton when either one of us are out. It's hard to connect all day, and I had really bad service, so we weren't able to FaceTime a lot, but we were able to like text a lot and at least catch up a couple times a day on the phone. And, you know, it never feels good to miss Brandon, I'll be honest. Like I don't like that feeling of missing you. I love doing things with you, and I love having those experiences and those trips with you, but there really was something about, like, I don't know, it was just nice. And I knew that Brandon's trip was coming up, so...
What was cool for me was obviously following her on Instagram the whole time and seeing how great of a time she was having, and knowing that I was holding down the fort down here. Like, it's weird when the kids, like, when both parents are around, they have to compete for twice as much attention. So I feel like they're more often throughout a day, they give us hell. But when it's just one parent, they just, either they're getting twice as much attention, or like they don't feel like they need to fight it as much, right? So it really wasn't that big a deal, except for when Max got sick and had a stomach bug, throwing up for 24 hours. And so for 2 days, I had kids home from school, so that interrupted the plans for work, because normally Sam would just hold it down while I still got in a full work week. But aside from that, like it was rewarding to know like I was doing my part here. We're having good, you know, one-on-one with the kids experiences and stuff. So it was good, and I don't have to worry like. You know, the difference between like taking a vacation with your friends versus like a break, like it wasn't worried that you had like some pent up aggression or something and you just needed to go wow out. Like you guys, like you were with two of my favorite people, three of my favorite people of your girlfriends. So like I had no worries that you were doing anything but maybe staying up a little late or drinking a little too much, but even
there, we didn't even go crazy at all with the drinking or anything either. Like, especially with this one best friend of mine, like we'll be like, we only get to see each other for a week, so let's just go crazy and have like the most fun we could possibly have. And I went up there this time, like, you know, I'm just letting you know, like, I'm totally down to get crazy a couple nights, but I just really want to enjoy my time with you and just like experience our experiences. And she was like, me too. And I'm like, all right, great minds. We're on the same wavelength. Let's just follow through with that then. And it was so awesome. It was really great. So I did want to share, one of the reasons that we wanted to talk to you guys about this is because sometimes our life, mine and Brandon's, doesn't allow us to travel together and, or even just have the ability to go do things.
Or it's not worth, or it might not be worth it. Like, Ghosts and Guns was cool, but that was, we got to drive up, so we had a cool little road trip. Like, it was very inexpensive.
Yeah.
But if you were like, hey, I want to do this guy's trip for you, it's going to be $5,000, I'd be like, thanks, that would be a cool experience. But in my mind, I wouldn't have been able to justify.
You probably would have said, let's take the family somewhere.
Yeah, I could do so many other things that I would appreciate the experience better. So there's a little bit of logic in there.
Yep,
you know
mine was inexpensive
and yours
too.
Was, well, thanks, Kristen.
Thanks to Kristen, who
just one-upped every cool experience I think I've ever done for my wife. She just one-upped me. So thanks, Kristen. I'm going to have to get a lot more creative now.
Yeah, he was jealous on Tuesday after hearing like this day that Kristen put together. He's like, great. She's totally blowing out of the water all these experiences that I've done for you. It definitely is up there in the list of like awesome times that I've had for sure. So Yeah, you plan really great things too, so don't.
Yeah,
don't
like
sell
one or
yourself
two,
short.
and she just like was like back to back to back to back.
But here's the difference.
You like crammed in like
you have me 365
quarter,
days a year, basically every other time. You know, you have me every other day of the year. Kristen and I get maybe once. Well, we get once a year. If not, sometimes we can squeeze in a second trip. So, you know, we have to fill it up. We realized that was better. Sometimes we like to just try to act like we don't need a plan, and then we end up doing nothing. And we did not want that week to be like that, and that's why she packed so much in that day.
So, are we going to do this again? Are we going to plan
we will do this.
How
again.
often do we do it? What can
clue.
we give them that would help?
Oh, so this is what I wanted to say, and then you wanted to talk about the cost of the trip. One thing you got to keep in mind is sometimes it's very healthy to do these things. It's not unhealthy if you have the right intentions going into it. If you and your spouse both agree, it's definitely nice if you're doing it as a swap, you know, versus, and I just told Brandon the other day, I was like, that was so much fun. I'd love to plan another girls trip and another guys trip, but the weekends that we have the kids, plan something with the other wives or husbands. So like, the guys have the kids and they go do something together with the kids. Because while Brandon was gone, I had a girlfriend come sleep over with her daughter, and we went to a festival with the kids, and we had a good time, and we got to just catch up, just the two of us. It's usually the four of us together. It was very nice. So sometimes we don't have the ability to plan these trips, him and I together, because like, for example, the last since like the summer, we've been really, really busy with business. And so even the overnights that we've taken away together, none of them have been recreational for the past 6 months. Every single one, every time we've gone away without the kids has been for business, including our upcoming trip together. So it was nice to just have the opportunity to go just do fun things. And sometimes you just can't afford the time or don't have the resources. Like, we don't have somebody in our family that can come stay with the kids so that we can go enjoy time together in this season. So it was nice to just still be able to both go and experience some time away from work and just some time to relax and chill. And now we have a trip coming up with the kids, so they get rewarded. They get rewarded for that time that they have to miss their opposite.
I don't think I could do it more than once a year.
I could do it twice.
Cool. You can go twice. I'll go once.
But I would only do it twice if we were getting our time away as well.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't do it in lieu of. I would much rather have the extra expenses and overpay a babysitter to go away with you than squeeze in an extra trip with the girls or something. Next time I'd like to do it somewhere a little closer, just because it's a lot less travel time. Like Orlando. I don't know. I love staycations. They're just so close. It's not that big of a deal to go do. And I'd love to do a couple's trip to Vegas now that we're a little older.
Whew. That sounds exhausting.
I just love the shows and the food in Vegas. It's my favorite. It's my favorite city, besides New York City.
All right, what else you got for them on this
That's
trip?
the biggest thing, guys. Don't be afraid to do it, especially when you're doing it in a healthy way. And
what's a healthy way again?
not taking a break.
What does that mean?
Not feeling like you have to get away from your husband or your wife. And you don't need to go blow off steam, which is super unhealthy. If you feel like you want to get away with your boys or your girls, cool. Just make sure you have no problems before you go away, and have a good week with be very intentional before you go away. I was very intentional with Brandon before my trip and before his trip. And I was getting sick and was sick over, those weeks, and still very intentional to make sure we were still getting some good quality time in together before and after those trips. So that
did the trips, the quality of the trips have anything to do? You knew who I was going to be with, you knew what we were going to be doing, as opposed to if I was just guys trip to Vegas or something crazy.
I'd say, yeah, knowing that you weren't choosing to go do things that were super crazy or out. I just always feel like if you act and do things when you're away from home,
mm-hmm.
like you would if I was standing right there, that's the most trust you can build with me. I give you that respect when I go away. I don't go do things that I wouldn't do if you were standing right there. And I think there's a comfort in knowing that you know that I'm the wilder one. So if anything, I would think that you should be more nervous about me going away than vice versa, because you're just kind of a chill guy. But in the past, like, okay, so here's an example. In the past, Brandon had a very easy time getting guilted into doing things that, like, I just don't really agree with or don't like him doing without me. An example of that would be, like, when we're young and dumb and, like, guys are going to the strip club all the time or whatever. I don't really...
Or even nightclubs. I'm not a nightclub person. What do you go to a nightclub for?
Well...
To drink, dance, dance and dry hump other people.
Even just
that's the purpose of a nightclub.
Even bars very late. Like, people are just getting really drunk at bars. And I found myself at a bar after the concert with Kristen.
Quality of conversation just goes...
But we chose a bar that had, like, karaoke night going on. We sat at a table next to one of the guys that was singing karaoke all night and had a great voice. And he was hanging out and kind of, like, flirting and talking with these two... girls at the table next to us, and we just like started a conversation with the girls and made friends with them. So it was kind of like girl power that night. And then Kristen wanted to just like totally, wrap it up on the mic. So she was doing like all her jams on the mic, and I was cheering her on, and I wasn't like out on the dance floor getting all grimy and dirty with guys, like. I don't know. That stuff isn't fun to me, and you don't even like to dance with me. Like, if I have a group of girls, I'll dance, but I don't want to drag on too long about that. I didn't do anything out of the norm, right? But almost walking into that bar, I had a twinge of like, I'm walking into a bar. I wouldn't necessarily love if Brandon was doing this right now, so let me just make sure, like, if we're uncomfortable that we just leave. And Kristen's like, oh, yeah, we'll just go if we don't like it. And so I think there's a comfort in that. Like, you have a comfort in knowing that stuff, right?
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, my alarm is going off.
That's okay. And I have a comfort in knowing that when he's away, we're kind of over that hump of being like the girls guilting me into going dancing at the club, or the guys guilting him into like going to a strip club. Again, I got no real challenge with it, but as I get older and my body isn't as perfect, I start to get a little bit more of an insecurity about it. And I just see less of a reason to do it as we get older. And I think when we had kids, I really started to go, but I'm going off on a tangent here. The point is, if anybody is watching this and he was at one, they're going to tell me now that I'm like, I had no challenge with it. Oh yeah, I could tell by his face. He didn't do anything like that. But
I have my location on. You'd very easily be able to see everywhere I go.
I don't think so. Even when I don't know Savannah, Georgia, so I wouldn't know if you were in somewhere or not. I can just like see the general area that you're in. You know what I mean? Anyway, long story short, there's a comfort in knowing that when your spouse or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever, and I would say back when we were dating, like, it always felt good to know, like, you just knew, even when I went out with girlfriends that were single and wanted to go dancing, like, you knew I was gonna tell the guys no if they approached me, and stuff like that. So just knowing your boundaries before you go away and respecting each other is huge. If your wife would have a challenge with you doing something, just don't do it. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I wouldn't go do things that you wouldn't approve of, right? And it shouldn't have to be about like getting permission necessarily to do things, but
it's a respect thing.
You don't have to understand why I don't like something, and I don't have to understand why you don't like something. I'm not like a flirtatious person, so I have flirtatious friends that are very flirty, and like I don't act like that when I'm out in public. And I actually noticed, like, with Kristen, she used to have a very flirty personality, and she doesn't anymore. So it was very cool to be out with her, and she, guys weren't going up to her. She wasn't being super flirty. It was like very cool and chill, and I think there was a comfort in just knowing that we weren't getting in any trouble, and just expecting the same things out of your spouse is like expecting and then getting.
Cool.
Yeah, that was a long tangent on that one part of the question, but it was hard without like explaining some stuff, right? Anyway, that's it. Go have some fun.
You should give some ideas on the show notes. Some cool trips. This was definitely something I never thought of. It was like I went on a golfing trip, but with shotguns. It was really cool. Like, there was different stations set up. There was all these different types of things that you could do. Obviously, the helicopter was awesome. Even just at Savannah, I think we've driven through Savannah. Never realized how cool Savannah, like downtown, is. like I could just walk around Savannah at night and do those little like ghost tours, which I think they do all year round.
I heard it's like Charleston.
Yeah, it was awesome.
When we went to a trip
perfect.
in Charleston, I was looking between Charleston and Savannah, and finding the Middleton Inn was the reason we went to Charleston over Savannah.
You should put a link to that hotel too, because we definitely got to go back there.
Yeah, was it cool?
No, the hotel you went to. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Winvian. It was so cool. I definitely want to go back there. All right, guys. What were we saying? Oh yeah, we'll throw some ideas together for you guys. Something like a spa day with an overnight is super easy to plan. That's like no-brainer, easy to do with the girls, and maybe just a little pampering or something like that is a good idea. I wanted to do that for Mother's Day, remember? And we just couldn't pull it together, so I was really happy that I got to go do that. But thank you. It does take your spouse to be completely willing to take on extra responsibility, especially when I do feel like I do a little bit more of the heavy lifting in the home. Brandon's a very active dad, but I do more of the heavy lifting. And so to throw the kids on him for 5 days, I ended up coming home early because I was homesick, but to throw all the heavy lifting, like all of it on him, and Max getting sick and the kids staying home for 2 days, like shout out to you, because I wouldn't have been able to do that trip without you being such a good father and husband and willing to hold down the fort. So
thanks. I just looked at it instead of a chore as an opportunity, right? An opportunity to have different experiences with the kids at home, an opportunity to work a little more. Like I put the kids to bed. We weren't going to have any time in the evening, so it gave me extra time to watch that documentary that I want to watch, or get some extra work done. Yeah. So
yeah, and
cool.
You know what? I like it. I don't want to say I love it when you're gone, but I love.
And I knew you were coming back to me like with some extra experiences, coming back with like a little more rested, obviously, with a spa day and being able to sleep in and stuff like that. So
can I shit you?
I was making an investment.
I slept in that one day, the whole day I was gone. We were up by.
Yeah, but you didn't have kids waking you up.
Yes, but I literally went to bed at like 2 every night, and then we were up by 5:30 to 7 every single day because we had packed it with activities. It was nuts. So I came home actually exhausted, but I still was like rested at the same time because I just got to go do fun and not have to worry about work like at all. I literally was like, I know you're trying to put responsibilities on my plate and I'm not doing it. I did 2 things the whole time I was gone because I like literally had to. And the whole rest of the time, Brandon would be like, can you? And I'd be like, nope, sorry. Put my phone down.
Well, now let's get to work.
We are working right now on this. All right, guys. Don't be afraid to plan them. Reach out to us if you want some more ideas, or even just want a little bit more insight, or to discuss through how to healthily put together guys and girls trips. We need to do our family vacation, probably plan a trip by ourselves, and then we'll circle back around to a guys girls trip again.
And I got a question for you. What is the coolest guys trip you've ever gone on? What's the coolest ladies trip you've ever gone on? Because we can use some extra ideas for next year.
Sure, yeah. Feed us. Feed us with your knowledge. And then make sure to share our podcast, comment on our feed, get the conversation going, help us grow our podcast even more. We are almost at 100 episodes. Somebody pointed it out to me the other day, and that's super cool and exciting. If you can think of maybe some cool ways to like gamify or do a cool contest or something for the 100th episode, because we are getting awfully close.
Should give something away.
We should give something away. We're going to give something away. Watch back in the next couple of episodes. We'll have something coming up soon. All right, guys. Thanks so much.
Later.
Have an awesome day.